Okay, so welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something really popular, especially for, health after 60, turmeric. It's got that great nickname, the golden healer. People really rely on it for like joint comfort, memory support, heart health. The list goes on.
It really does sound like a miracle, and the core compound, curcumin. It is amazing at fighting chronic inflammation, which is, well, behind so many issues that crop up as we age. But here's the catch, the kind of hidden problem with this amazing spice. Curcumin itself has really, really low bioavailability.
Bioavailability, right. So that means even if you eat a ton of it, your body might not actually be using it. It just passes through.
Pretty much exactly. Our sources are showing that unless you create the right conditions for absorption, you could be absorbing less than 5%, maybe even lower.
Wow, less than 5%. That's kind of shocking. You think you're doing something great for your body, and it's barely getting in.
Yeah, it ends up being, an expensive way to make your food yellow without getting those crucial anti-inflammatory benefits.
Okay, that feels like such a waste, especially when those benefits are so needed later in life. So that's our mission for this deep dive, right? We need to figure out first, what are the maybe 3 common food habits that are just quietly blocking turmeric's power? And then, the exciting part, what are the 3 pairings that can, massively boost it? You mentioned a figure.
Up to 2,000% increase in absorption. It's incredible when paired correctly.
2,000%. Okay, let's definitely unpack that. We need to make sure every spoonful counts.
Absolutely. Let's make it work for your body, not just pass through it.
So let's just quickly ground ourselves. Why do older adults, specifically, gravitate towards turmeric so much? The sources mention some key reasons.
Well, it makes sense, right? After 60, things just naturally change. You might feel stiffer. Recovery from just everyday activity takes longer. Maybe digestion feels a bit off. Memory isn't quite as sharp.
But that general feeling of things being a bit harder.
Exactly. And people start looking for something reliable, something proven to help manage those changes.
And the science does back it up, doesn't it? Curcumin specifically targets that chronic inflammation that makes joints feel stiff.
It does. And it's not just joints. It supports the liver. It helps protect the heart and arteries. It even nourishes the brain by improving blood flow and fighting oxidative stress. It's like a multitasker if it gets absorbed properly.
Okay, but that if is the big hurdle. The curcumin is stubborn, so we really need to pinpoint the everyday foods that might actually be flushing it out before it gets a chance to work on the joints or the brain.
Right. It's time to expose these hidden blockers that might be in your kitchen right now.
Okay, blocker number 1. People often add turmeric to things like golden milk lattes, which are creamy and comforting. That brings us straight to processed dairy. You called it the hidden saboteur.
Yeah, and we need to be really clear here. We're not talking about, say, a splash of plain milk or a dollop of plain Greek yogurt. That's generally fine. We're zeroing in on the processed stuff. Things like those flavored yogurts packed with sugar, powdered coffee creamers, American cheese slices, those pre-shredded cheese blends.
The ones with long ingredient lists.
Exactly. Full of additives, emulsifiers, fillers.
So why do those block turmeric? Is it just that they're hard to digest anyway, or is there a specific chemical clash?
It's actually both. First, as we age, our digestive system often slows down. We might have less stomach acid, weaker enzyme activity, so the gut is already working harder to deal with all those additives. But on top of that, chemically speaking, certain proteins found in processed dairy, and some emulsifiers too, can physically bind to the curcumin molecules. They basically trap it.
Huh. So if I'm making scrambled eggs, I sprinkle in turmeric for the health benefits, but then I melt a slice of processed cheese on top. I basically just handcuffed the curcumin.
That's a good way to put it. You've trapped it.
Yeah.
It can't get absorbed, so it just gets escorted out.
Huh.
You're actively blocking the anti-inflammatory effect you wanted.
I'm probably getting some bloating or discomfort too, especially if digestion is already a bit sensitive.
Definitely. For seniors who might already manage things like acid reflux or general digestive sensitivity, this combination can be really problematic, causing gas and bloating.
Okay, so the solution seems pretty straightforward then. Ditch the heavily processed dairy when you're using turmeric. Opt for maybe unsweetened plant-based milks, almond, oat, coconut, or stick with plain Greek yogurt and add your own natural sweetness, like berries.
Exactly. Keep it simple, keep it natural, let the turmeric do its job.
All right, so avoiding processed dairy helps. But what about other factors, like acidity? That leads us to blocker number 2. Vinegar-heavy foods. I have to admit, this one hits home. I love putting turmeric in dressings or marinades, but often those have a lot of vinegar, especially store-bought ones. Am I shooting myself in the foot?
Unfortunately, you probably are, yeah.
Hmm.
See, curcumin is quite delicate. It needs a relatively stable, sort of neutral pH environment in the stomach to get absorbed properly. Vinegar is highly acidic. That acidity can actually destabilize the curcumin molecule, causing its beneficial compounds to start breaking down before your gut even has a chance to absorb them.
Wow. Okay. So the acidity basically damages the curcumin before it can work.
That's the gist of it. And this effect is often worse for people who already deal with acid reflux or maybe gastritis, conditions that are more common as we age. So you get double trouble: poor absorption and potentially triggering heartburn.
Okay. So what's the fix? Avoid vinegar altogether with turmeric.
Not necessarily altogether, but it's about timing and quantity. Try to separate your highly acidic foods, like a big vinegary salad, from your main turmeric dish by a couple of hours. And if you want a dressing with your turmeric meal, make a quick homemade one. Use extra virgin olive oil as the base, maybe just a small splash of lemon juice, which is less acidic than vinegar, and definitely add black pepper.
Ah, black pepper, will definitely get to that booster later. So smart timing and maybe switching acids. That makes sense. Now for the third blocker, and this one seems like a really direct conflict. The sweet trap. We're talking sugary cereals and baked goods.
Right, this one is probably the most counterintuitive, or maybe counterproductive is the better word. Think about why we take turmeric to fight inflammation. But refined sugar, the kind loaded into sugary breakfast cereals, muffins, pastries, or even those coffee shop golden milk lattes made with lots of syrup, that stuff is intensely pro-inflammatory.
So it does the exact opposite of the turmeric.
Precisely. Sugar spikes your insulin and blood glucose levels, and that process ramps up inflammation throughout your entire body. So eating turmeric alongside a big hit of refined sugar is like sending completely contradictory signals to your cells. One says heal and calm down, the other shouts inflame and stress out.
They basically cancel each other out. Or worse, the sugar wins.
Often the sugar wins, especially in the short term. And this is particularly concerning after 60. As our metabolism naturally changes, handling big sugar loads becomes harder. That sugar rush can create oxidative stress, which can contribute to things like stiffening arteries or irritating joints, the very things you hope turmeric will help protect against. It's just working against yourself.
Okay, this is a big one. The solution seems clear again. Avoid pairing turmeric with refined sugary foods. Instead, if you want turmeric in the morning, maybe have it with oatmeal, which is a whole grain. You can add natural sweetness with, say, berries, maybe a little raw honey, or a banana.
Exactly. Focus on whole foods. If you're baking, look for alternatives like almond flour. Maybe use olive oil instead of processed fats, and sweeten carefully with small amounts of maple syrup or coconut sugar, perhaps. Just avoid that refined sugar bomb.
Right. So we've identified the blockers: processed dairy, vinegar overload, and refined sugar. Now let's get to the positive side, the multipliers. These are the things that can take that tiny absorption rate and make it skyrocket. And multiplier number one is probably the most well-known: black pepper.
Yes, this is the absolute classic pairing, and for good reason. If turmeric is the treasure, black pepper contains the key, a compound called piperine. We talk about that dismal absorption rate of curcumin alone, maybe less than 1%, but add just a little bit of piperine from black pepper.
And that's where the 2,000% figure comes in.
That's the potential, yes.
Yeah.
Studies show piperine can increase curcumin bioavailability by up to 2,000%. It's a phenomenal boost from such a simple spice.
How? What is the piperine actually doing in the body to make that happen? It seems almost too good to be true.
It's quite clever, biologically speaking. Piperine works in two main ways. First, it inhibits certain enzymes in your liver and intestinal wall that normally metabolize curcumin very quickly and get rid of it, so it slows down the breakdown. Second, it seems to enhance the permeability of the intestinal lining slightly, making it easier for the curcumin molecules to actually pass through into the bloodstream. It basically keeps the curcumin around longer and opens the door for it.
Okay, so it runs interference and helps it absorb. That's amazing. So the takeaway is simple. Anytime you use turmeric cooking, drinks, eggs, whatever, add a pinch of black pepper. And importantly, freshly ground makes a difference, right? More piperine available.
Generally, yes. Freshly ground is ideal. And if you happen to take turmeric supplements, it's absolutely crucial to check the label. Look for piperine or a standardized extract called bioperine. Without it, the supplement might not be doing much.
Got it. Pepper is essential. Okay, so piperine unlocks the door. What's next? We need to actually get the curcumin delivered to where it needs to go, like the joints or the brain. That brings us to multiplier number two: healthy fats.
Exactly. This is about the fundamental nature of curcumin. It's fat-soluble, or lipophilic, meaning it dissolves in fats and oils, not in water. If you just stir turmeric powder into water, most of it won't dissolve. It'll clump or just float around, and when you drink it, it passes through your digestive system largely unabsorbed because it hasn't been properly dissolved and carried.
Ah, okay. So it needs a vehicle to carry it across the gut lining and into the bloodstream.
Precisely. Healthy fats act as that delivery vehicle. They bind to the curcumin molecules, allowing them to be absorbed along with the fat, and then transported through the lymphatic system and eventually into the general circulation. Without the fat, the curcumin basically gets left behind at the station.
So what kind of fats are we talking about? The healthy kind, obviously.
Yes, that's key. We want fats that are themselves anti-inflammatory or neutral. Think extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, nuts and seeds, especially things like almonds, walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, fatty fish like salmon, or coconut milk and coconut oil.
And just as important, what fats to avoid pairing with turmeric?
To definitely avoid unhealthy fats. Things like margarine, trans fats found in many processed snacks, deep-fried foods, or excessive amounts of certain refined vegetable oils. These fats actually promote inflammation, so pairing them with turmeric completely defeats the purpose. You'd be putting out a fire with one hand and pouring gasoline on it with the other.
Makes sense. So, practically speaking, always cook your turmeric with the oil, like sautéing spices in olive oil or avocado oil at the start of a dish.
Yes, that's a great way. Or if you're making a soup, a stew, or even that golden milk latte, stir in a source of healthy fat towards the end, like a tablespoon of coconut milk, a drizzle of olive oil, or even blending in some avocado.
Okay, black pepper unlocks it, healthy fat delivers it. What's the third multiplier? You called it the gentle companion, raw honey.
Yes, and the emphasis here is really on raw and unprocessed honey, not the clear, ultra-filtered stuff that's basically just sugar syrup. Raw honey, the kind that might be a bit cloudy or even crystallized, retains many of its natural enzymes, antioxidants, and other beneficial compounds.
Okay, so it's different from the sweet trap we talked about earlier because it's not just refined sugar. How does raw honey actually amplify turmeric's effects? It tastes good, sure, but what's the mechanism?
Well, think of it this way. If turmeric is the potent anti-inflammatory warrior going into battle, raw honey acts as the soothing agent, the gentle companion that helps calm the battlefield. It provides a very gentle, stable source of energy, unlike the spike and crash from a flood of sugar. And its own natural compounds have soothing properties that can complement curcumin's work, especially for inflamed tissues in the joints or the digestive tract. It enhances the overall calming effect.
So it's not just about absorption here, it's about synergistic effects,
Yeah.
calming things down together.
Exactly. It's about creating a more supportive environment for healing. The specific benefits noted, especially for older adults, include supporting joint comfort, aiding digestive soothing, potentially helping with seasonal allergies due to local pollens in raw honey, and even promoting restful sleep when taken in the evening.
That sounds like a really holistic pairing, and you don't need a lot, right? We're not talking about loading up on honey.
Not at all. Even just half a teaspoon or a teaspoon can be effective. Think of a simple morning tonic. Just warm water or tea, a bit of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, maybe a tiny bit of coconut oil, and that small amount of raw honey. Or the traditional Ayurvedic golden paste often uses this combination.
Powerful stuff. Okay, so let's try to synthesize this. We've got the blockers and the boosters.
I think the main takeaway, especially for managing health intentionally after 60, is really about awareness and making conscious choices. Turmeric is a powerful natural medicine. It truly is. But it's sensitive. We have to respect its chemistry and stop accidentally blocking its power with things like processed dairy, too much vinegar, or refined sugars.
And what's really empowering, I think, is how simple the solutions are. It's not about buying more expensive stuff necessarily. Just one spoonful of turmeric, taken the right way, making sure you've got that black pepper, a bit of healthy fat, maybe that touch of raw honey is going to be vastly more effective than gulping down supplements without thinking about these pairings. It's about making your efforts count.
It really is. In this whole deep dive into turmeric's bioavailability, it raises a bigger question, a challenge maybe for you listening. If you could be wasting, say, 95% of the turmeric you consume just by not knowing these simple rules, what else might this apply to? Are there other vitamins, minerals, herbs, or supplements you're taking without understanding how they need to be absorbed?
That's a great point. Like taking vitamin D, which is fat soluble without any fat, or maybe iron supplements without vitamin C, which helps absorption. The science of delivery systems, of bioavailability, it's not just about turmeric. It's a fundamental aspect of nutrition. Maybe we all need to look a bit closer at the delivery system for everything we're consuming to stop wasting nutrients and really maximize our health efforts.